Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live episode of Proceed with Passion. I am your host, Terry Schilling, a copywriter and copy coach, but also a curious, creative human who likes to bring on other creative humans to hear about their journey from where they started to where they are now to doing something that they love and give you some actionable advice for you to do the same. So today, you guys may have seen it. I've been promoting it, and I am very excited to bring on my guest today, a friend of mine, an online friend of mine, another talented copywriter. She's also a copy mentor and creator of the very popular Copy Chat Summit and Copy Chat Facebook group. Everybody, let's welcome Marisa Corcoran to the show. Marisa, how are you?
Good, Terry. Thanks for having me here. This is really special because I really do consider you a friend.
Yeah.
Someone that, was so supportive of the copy chat right away and was always sending me messages and saying how much you loved it and participating in the group. So I just feel so excited that I can be here, doing the same for you, because I just think you're so talented and so awesome.
Oh, man. Appreciate that. Well, obviously, this feeling is mutual there, Marisa. And yeah, like you said, I remember just looking at copywriters and copywriting hashtags on Instagram and came across your copy chat and really enjoyed your content. We started engaging ever since. And you have a great community now. I mean, I feel like that was almost 3 years ago. I feel like, when did you start the copy, your first summit?
So the Copy Chat 1.0, which is weird because we're coming up on 5.0, premiered awesome. February of 2019.
2019. Yeah.
So it's 2 years ago. It's crazy. It's cool. And cool to see how we can use the online world for, social media for good to find other people to collaborate with in a cool way.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll dive into, why you started the Copy Chat Virtual Summit here. And to everybody who's tuning in live, thank you guys for joining us. We're live in my Copy Co-op Facebook group, on LinkedIn, and on my YouTube channel right now. And if you watch the replay, hello. We'll be going through some fun questions with Marisa. But Marisa, I want to start because this year, 2020 has been a hot mess, but I want to know, let's try to keep it a little positive. What is the coolest thing that happened to you in 2020?
The coolest thing that happened to me in 2020, I feel like for all the craziness that has been 2020, I will say there has been some really cool things personally and professionally, but my favorite thing is that the Copy Chat actually, seasons 3 and seasons 4 in the Copy Chat community, we were able from that to raise over $30,000 for charity, which has been probably my favorite thing to happen in 2020, because it's really been a goal of mine to show people that you don't have to be some rich old white guy at a gala eating tuna tartare to make a financial impact for an organization that you believe in, and showing people the ways that you can use your business and what I kind of call a modern philanthropy to raise money for causes and for things that you believe in. And we've been able to do that with the Copy Chat, which has been amazing.
Yeah, that is so cool. I remember seeing that for the last one. That's incredible that you decided to kind of shift it that way, and give back. So that's really cool. Very cool thing to happen in 2020.
Yeah, especially when so many organizations, and this is what I just learned from partnering with people, lost so much funding because of the pandemic. They weren't able to rely on their typical ways of raising money, which is in-person galas. The organization that we raised for the summer, Hope for Heather, that's fighting for a cure for ovarian cancer, we basically were able to replace the money that they normally make from having their booth at the New York State Fair, because the New York State Fair was canceled. So these organizations really need these kinds of donations to sustain their mission, when so much of that, because of the pandemic, has been wiped out.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's so awesome. Yeah. Congrats to you and to, your whole team involved in what you guys are doing at the Copy Chat, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, Marisa, next, I want to change it up a little bit, because what I like to do and Proceed with Passion Live, for people who've, are loyal followers of the show, is go back a little bit into where you started. So let's just say, graduating from college, Marisa, what, in your mind, what was Marisa going to do with her life?
Yeah, well, I mean, Marisa, from the time she was born and, could breathe, I was going to be an actor. I always just wanted to be an actor and be a performer. And anything else that I liked to do, I figured, I would just play it on TV. Yeah. So if I, thought about, a doctor or something, I'd be okay, well, I'll just play one on TV. And so that was my whole life. I grew up doing community theater. I went to undergrad for theater, and I went to grad school at the American Repertory Theater at Harvard for for acting. And so that's all I ever thought I was going to do. But it's interesting because as I got into my 20s, I realized that what I really wanted to do was like use my platform as an actor to do things like what we just said, which was to raise money or to have like my own show or like have my own things. And I thought that acting was the way for me to do that. And so it's interesting that now with my business, everything I ever wanted to do, I actually got to do with my business and actually not from being an actor, which is weird.
Yeah, that's so cool because it's just, sometimes I feel the same because I wanted to be like on TV as a broadcast journalist, like sports reporter on ESPN or like the guy in like a big city covering sports.
Yeah.
And things shifted, but we do have this platform, the internet and all these social media platforms and these tools to really create things like this. Like you have your copy chat and you do your live videos, and then I have this. So there's a lot of cool opportunities out there.
Yeah. And I think that the background, like I'm sure you might feel this way too, of like what you learned and what you wanted to be like as a broadcast journalist and what I learned from the actor world, it really, it's helped me in this world in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, I can imagine. And, what really then shifted the tide to go to copywriting for you?
I really I fell into it. I always say like Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
I always say like Winnie the Pooh broke me. So when I had an audition for Winnie the Pooh to play Rabbit in Winnie the Pooh, nice. And it was at a regional theater, pretty well known. And I felt like that was a really great way to get more gigs because I really just always wanted to be in theater. Like so many of my friends wanted to be in film and TV, and I just wanted to be on Broadway. So I felt like if I could get in with these bigger theaters, this could be the end. So I was like, okay, I'll play Rabbit in Winnie the Pooh. And I worked so hard on this audition. I decided I was going to make him like a cross of like Marisa Tomei in My Cousin Vinny and like the comedian Sebastian Maniscalco. Do you know?
Yeah, I do.
So my Rabbit was going to be like a cross between this. I worked so hard on it. And then short of the long, they called and they told me they no longer needed me to come in for the role. And I remember just standing in my kitchen. I don't know what it was. I was like wearing these overalls. Like I thought that felt very Rabbit-like. And I said, I looked at my husband and I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I felt so sad. Like acting was just such this emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And so my husband and I talked about, okay, well, when do I feel excited to get up out of bed and do stuff? And I said, you know what, when I'm writing for clients, I think that's where I actually feel the happiest. And so I said, all right, I'm not going to be an actor anymore. I'm going to go full into my copy business and see, because I've been doing it on the side. I had like a full,
okay.
I had a full retainer. That's what I was doing to sustain myself to audition. And then I went, you know what? Thank you, Winnie the Pooh, but I'm done. I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something else.
Yeah. What memory then, as you kind of shifted to copywriting, is in 4K, high definition, lives rent free in your brain, where it's just like, I'm going to turn this copywriting thing, into like my full on business, like shifting to the copy chat, the Facebook group and really monetizing, really your brand, Marisa.
Yeah. I think for me was, okay, I'd already had experience writing for clients. I knew that the kind of copy that I wrote for people was working and getting them results. I felt really good about that.
Yeah.
But I still had that actor in me that wanted to be known. Like I wanted my own stage when I thought about, and there's lots of people that aren't this way. There's people who love like, put me in a coffee shop, let me like write for clients and then be done.
Yeah.
And I love like, those are like some of your most talented people. I love that. But I knew for me, I still wanted a little bit of that like lights, camera, action. And so I recognized that. And also if I wanted to have a steady stream of clients, if I didn't want to have to be relying on referrals or hoping that people recommended me or remembered me and having to constantly do outreach, I recognized that I needed to go and create my own platform. So I basically kind of borrowed what I saw my actor friends do. So lots of times in the actor world, people will do like a one-woman show or they'll do a stand-up comedy. So if anybody is the fans of the show, Fleabag that was on Amazon. So Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who created it, Fleabag was a one-woman show at first before it became, this incredible TV show that like swept all the award shows. Phoebe created this for herself and then brought people to it and then, turned it into what it is. And so I thought, okay, well, I see people where this works in the actor world. Maybe I can use this in like the business copy world. And so I decided to create the copy chat, create my own stage, and bring people into my methods of how I talked about copy, introduce them to other mentors, help give other people a stage, and see what I could create from there.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I'm just curious, Marisa, because I like have these conversations with other copywriters and freelance copywriters, because sometimes you get to this level where you are a little bit burned out from client work. You talked about people love getting into the coffee shop. There's plenty of people like that. Just, let me write, let me be creative, and that's it. But obviously you talked about wanting this, stage for yourself in a way. So it's always just interesting, that dynamic. And like, did you have like moments where you're just like, I'm getting burned out on client work?
Yes. Oh yeah. And it was like, I could see that I was like, okay, well, if I'm not going to be an actor, I owe $170,000 to the federal government in student loans.
Oh my God.
There's only so many retainer clients that was going to like, I could feel like the income ceiling. It was like this anvil on my chest. Like, well, in order to make more money, now I got to take on more clients. And I couldn't see the light, but I was like, there has to be a way to do what I love and talk about copy and still write. And I love to write, but there had to be a way that I could expand this in a way that I wasn't burnt out. And that's what creating the copy chat gave me.
Yeah. Gosh, it's just so real. Just like, I need to make this much money. And then it's just like, you get some clients and then you still need to make some more money, and you take on more stuff, and you're burning yourself out at that point of just like overworking and like not really saying no to certain things.
No, I never said no. I was like, sure, I'll take on this. And then I find myself like, I remember when we first moved to Atlanta, my mom came to visit and I was supposed to be off, and I was just doing client work the whole time. Yeah. And I was like, okay, something, has to give here. I don't want to keep doing this for the rest of my life. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, that's so interesting. Everybody, if you guys are just joining us live and tuning in, Marisa was just sharing how she really wanted to become an actor, even studying at, you said Harvard, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, she just had this shift where she decided to, take her side gig of freelance copywriting and turn it into, really a full-fledged her own business, become her own boss, and start something called the Copy Chat, which we're going to dive into here. And I know you said, you started the summit. What was that process like? Did you work with the coach? Like, why summits at the end of the day?
That's a great question. So one of the things that I was kind of like known, no one really knew who the hell I was, but like known for was like, I wrote
your clients, I'm sure.
They knew who I was. So I wrote a lot of summit copy. So I knew the model. Yeah. And I'd seen my clients be successful. And I went, oh, okay. I think I know a way that I can take that model and like turn it on its head. Because what I had found from a lot of summits was that a lot of them were kind of about generalized topics and not very specific. It would be like, own your life, or like ignite your soul, I felt like, okay, well, what if we could actually do this where people, if just from this, people could walk away and really elevate their copy. Like, what if we could make it less about the person's background or who they were, and right away we just dive into, okay, we're going to talk about testimonials or writing better sales pages. Like, we're going to really dive into the good stuff, and then use the Facebook group to expand on that and help people get to know the speakers a little bit more, offer prizes, like basically do everything I'd learned from like the actor world of like how you are just this great host. And that's really what I wanted to experiment with and see, could I bring together people in that way? And also, could I really create, because the thing about summits is that it's foolproof. It'll never not grow your audience. But I wanted to see, could I do something that was more like really focus on the connection with my speakers, how I picked them, everything. And because what happened from there was not just growing my audience and growing everything, but those speakers then would go on to become clients. They then were pitching me to be on their podcast, to be guest teach in their communities. It was like the gift, like the copy chat was just like the gift that just kept on giving. And so I thought, if I could focus and do summits in that way, let me see what could happen. Because summits can get a bad rap for being kind of generalized and feel kind of spammy instead of feeling really connected, like you're creating a community.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're not doing like this in-person event where there's these huge networking events. And I think you've been able to really capture that with the Facebook group, like you said, of having, extra check-ins and like extra videos, live videos, like recapping everything, which I've seen you do, which is super smart.
Yeah, we do live recaps every night to be like, okay, here's what we talked about today. What really solidified for you? What do you think you could go and implement into your copy? And is the people that you heard today, could you see yourself one of those people as being your like next mentor or helping you expand?
Yeah. No,
I wanted it to feel like what would happen if I really was authentic and real about like, listen, if you end up loving me after this, awesome. But if you end up loving Terry after this, you go off. I just wanted to really create community. That was really my goal. Yeah,
no, absolutely. Yeah. You've achieved that, especially growing the Facebook group the way that you have, for sure.
I did it.
Gotta feel like, which like Marisa, it's got to feel so interesting because like I feel like if I would go into this, and I mean maybe you have similar like feeling to it, it's just like you're like on the business side of it too, where it's just like, all right, how much money am I making? All right, it's live now. I'm seeing people sign up and they're paying for the extra version. Oh my gosh, so cool. Oh, that person is only doing it for free. What the heck? They said they were interested. It's just like, how did you really balance of just like businesswoman? And I'm like, but I actually really want to help these people with what I'm doing and like communicating that message,
Yeah, I think I talk about this with my clients. Like I had a strong, what I call like a skin in the game, which was I knew that if I couldn't figure out a way to like pay off my student loan, and I knew that I was just going to be repeating basically a generational thing in my family, which was just struggling with money, really watching super talented people that get hung up with money and seeing my husband who hadn't made that much money that year and going, well, I want our lives. There's so much that we want to do. And I remember, Terry, it's so funny, creating the copy chat, like in 2018, I would be at this coffee shop near our house in Atlanta called Tap Room till like they were closing the place down. And whenever I would be like tired or I had to reach out to another speaker or write more copy, I would just think, I know that if I put like my head down and I just get this concentrated hustle, I can change our lives. And then, I mean, in less than a year, I went from having like 90 people on my email list to just shy of like 4,000 people, 5,000 people. I went from making $50,000 to $250,000. My husband quit his job and started working with me inside the business.
That's awesome.
And so I think just like my own like personal skin in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think those like just personal experience of seeing like what you don't want to be. I mean, that's just like as a copywriter, that's just the technique we do. It's like, what are these, the pain that people want to avoid? Let's capture that with the messaging, but you kind of like harness that yourself of just like, what can I do?
Totally. Yeah. I was like, well, something, and also being really feeling like that the copy chat standalone, you could listen in for free and you could go and see results in your business, and just staying true to that and not letting myself get past that. Like not letting myself get ahead to go, okay, well, what's going to come next? And could I repeat it? And could I do it again? Just being like, okay,
be present.
And I still do that. I still try to not really plan myself further than like 6 months out.
Yeah. No, man, it's great advice. It's so tough for a lot of people, but good for you, for sure. Anybody's tuning in live, I see a couple people watching. If you guys have any questions for Marisa about virtual summits, please ask away. We'll answer some live questions here. But Marisa, I always like asking this question now because I feel like it's a good time to do that with starting, the copy chat. And now you're about to approach 5.0. I want to talk about imposter syndrome. Was there a big face that you had when doing this? And then how do you overcome that feeling, which I'm sure happens weekly for a lot, it happens almost every day.
Second by second. I'm like, people I'm like, I don't know if you get rid of it. I think it just like, the imposter like puts on a new coat.
Ah, yeah. I
So
like
I feel
that.
like he changes his code. So it's like when I first did the copy chat, yeah, I mean, my clients knew who I was, but nobody like knew who I was. I remember when I consider like Laura Belgrade to be like one of my favorite people ever. And she's been a mentor to me and just an incredible person. And I remember when I was first like working with her inside of Shrimp Club, she said, you know, one of the things she first noticed about me was like my chutzpah, because I just went and created something where nobody knew who the hell I was. And it's so interesting because I would have this like fear, but again, I just would go back to, I know I have something to say about copy and a way to bring copy to the forefront. And I remember I asked a speaker to be on the copy chat, and she said to me, oh yeah, I'd love to be. And she said, you know, I thought about doing a summit about copy, but I just thought that it would be really boring. Like, who wants to do that? And I remember that night, I like was like sobbing.
No, yeah.
Like, I was like, oh no, what if people hate it, you know, but just kept going back to it. And I still have imposter syndrome every time I do the copy chat, even though I've done it and it's going to be 5 seasons.
Yeah.
I still go, well, I hope that it's good. I hope people, you know, I hope it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, like the following just continues to grow with each one you did. And I mean, you've been able to build the copy chat Facebook group to almost really like 4,500 people now, you know, and I'm sure, you know, which is awesome. And like, and I know like sometimes, especially recently, people are giving Facebook a bad rap of just with everything going on, especially considering the election stuff. But anyways, people are like, you hear it a lot, like people like, oh, I deleted my Facebook account or I don't go on there anymore. But there's still tons of people there. But I want to know, what are your biggest and best tips for growing an engaging Facebook group and community?
Yeah. Well, I just want anybody to know that's listening that like I left Facebook after the 2016 election. My brother and I had this conversation where he's like, maybe you need to like take a break.
Yeah.
So I left and I was always like, I'm never going back. But when I decided to do the copy chat, I recognized that if I could create like my own living room, like my own, like what I was really good at, like my own like party, that I could help people like do better with their copy or see that I was a mentor who like gave a shit. So I decided to like kind of take back social media for good. So I do understand people who are like, gosh, I want nothing to do with Facebook. And I really made it a conscious choice that I was going to really use it for my business in a way too, right? Like promote the charities that we are giving back to and everything. And so that's kind of how I really made the copy chat, is like it feeling like you're in my living room with me and it's a conversation. And it's a really, really engaged group.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the things that we do in there is that, yes, we talk business, we talk shop. I'm live every Wednesday. Yeah. I do a little like copy over coffee, and we talk about different tips. And when I first did the group, I was live a lot more. But now I'm live about once a week. And yes, we talk business, we talk copy, but we talk about a lot of other stuff too. Like I'll pop in there and be like, oh, Eric, my husband, I'm like, Eric and I are, you know, binging Schitt's Creek. What are you guys watching? Yeah. And it's just insane to watch people like show up for all these different things, and that people like know each other and like talk to each other in the community. So it's really cool.
Yeah. I've seen it firsthand. You know, I've asked questions of like, you know, a project I'm working on with a client just for some advice from some of the people. And then you just get blown up with comments. People are so like willing to help as well, which is just, it's really cool and interesting, you know, kind of hear your approach to it. Like, how much is it strategy now for you in the group? Or is it just more like, you know what? Yeah, I'm watching Schitt's Creek. What do you guys think? It's like, you know what? Let me just pop on live and I'm making a margarita and just talking to people. Right. Yeah.
Now, yes. Like, but I think it's like, for me, I don't know if anybody's like human design person, but I'm a manifesting generator. And so like as a manifesting generator, sometimes like I just love flying by the seat of my pants.
Yeah.
And so now I can definitely do a lot more. But when I started, I made it a goal that I would show up and show up often. So I'd say if you really want to grow your Facebook community, you got to prioritize like, okay, going live in there, like letting people see what you're speaking about, like what your niche is. And so when I first started, I was going 2-3 times, if not more, like doing lives in there.
Yeah.
And then I was really trying to do, and I actually teach this to my clients in the Copy Confidence Society, like different content. There's like 6 kinds of posts that I didn't even realize I was doing, but sometimes I would just like ask a specific question around copy.
Yeah.
Other times I call it like a lay down the law. Like I tell people, stop worrying about like, hey, PSA, stop worrying about unsubscribes.
Okay.
You know, or I would just like lay down the law on copy, or I'd be like, you know, stop don't let people tell you don't need a website. That's BS. You do. You know what I mean? Like I would just find ways to lay down the law. I would tell client stories in that. That was another post. I made it a point that every week I would share something that was going well for a client. And another one that I love to do is like the pop culture. I'd love to see like what's going on in the world that I could connect in here. And I'd make that a point of doing something like that every week too.
Yeah, no, that's great. You know, because I mean, I've been, you know, growing the Copy Co-op Facebook group a lot with these live videos and things like that. And sometimes, you know, I do just get in my head. And I think I've talked to other people like, I really like what you're doing with the Facebook group and like, how do we keep it engaged? Or like, what can I like trying to think of what they can do themselves. And I think just having that idea, you know, what type of post, like laying down the law, you know, and get just people talking. And I think just, it is, I mean, the consistency of just showing up is huge for any, you know, person trying to grow their personal brand entrepreneur. Like you just have to, you know, and the work is going to come. I think, you know, it's just like you talked about, I'm sure like going live, you know, you're just like, nobody's really commenting or just like, will anybody watch this? And then all it takes is one comment and be like, thank you, Marisa. Thank you, Terry. This was so helpful. It's like, that's all you need to keep going. It's like in golf. I see your caddy chats with your husband.
My caddy chats.
I'm sure you could have a terrible day, but on the 18th hole, if he birdies, he's like, I'm coming back tomorrow. You know what I mean? 100%.
That is so my husband. We'll be like on the 7th hole. He's like, what am I doing this for? And then, you know, the 8th hole, he'll get a birdie or be like, yes. Golf is actually like, if you can understand golf, golf is life basically. And it's like the patience and the kind of constantly refining your skills, you know? One of the things that I notice about like the Facebook group is something that like for comments, just to give people a tip on, is that sometimes what I do is I will tag like my fans in there that I know love to get the conversation going. Because sometimes we don't want to be the first person to comment.
Yeah.
So let's say I would say something about copy. I might say, you know, hey, Terry, I know you probably have thoughts on this.
Yeah.
And like tag you in the comments or tag some of my other like copy chat, like big fans to get the conversation going. And the other thing I'd say about the video is like, yes, when I first started there, and even still, I don't have like so many people live. But the weird thing is whenever I get on calls with people for the Copy Confidence Society, and I've been saying this all week, and I think it's important for people. Like, I rarely recognize the name. Yeah. And it's what I've realized is that the people who are like my biggest fans or the people who show up or comment, engage aren't always my buyers.
Yeah.
But my buyers are like lurking. So even if you don't feel like you're getting those vanity metrics engagement, people are clocking you. Because people will say to me on calls, oh, well, I read all your emails and I watch every Facebook Live you do. I'm like, really? I've never seen you before.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. People, you're right. People don't want to be like the ones because like they're lurking in the background, but they don't want to be the ones visibly lurking, like watching the entire time. It's like, but like deep inside, it's like, that's what we want. We want to have people be there, but you know, but like, they're there, they're watching and like,
they are.
If they're ready to buy or ready to convert, you know, they'll come to you because you've been consistent and stay top of mind at the end of the day.
Yep.
I love your tip about tagging people because I've been doing that more in the group, like Friday, share your wins. And I'll tag like, 5 to 10 of the people who like comment the most, and then it just blows up. People are just commenting. It's a lot of positivity. It's really fun to see.
Which is so nice to see on like Facebook where otherwise it can just be like a dumpster fire of memes and conspiracy theories. So it's so great to like be doing stuff for good,
Nobody's spreading that in these for sure.
Right.
Oh, man. Got a comment here. We got one from Ilana who's watching on LinkedIn. Do you think it's important to build a certain level of experience and expertise before being able to build a bigger following and having a mentor to get there? I joined late, so sorry if you already mentioned it. No, Ilana, thank you so much for watching.
That's good.
But yeah, Marisa, do you think it's important to build a certain level of experience and expertise before, building a bigger following?
Yeah, I think you have to like know your niche, right? Like have something that you are like feel really honed in on or specific about. But I think very often we're trying to like perfect that with an inch of its life or get all our ducks in a row. And I think that's where we stop ourselves, because one of the things that the Copy Chat gave me is it made me even a better copywriter, because I've interviewed now, my gosh, like 70 different people in the online space that are copy experts. Like I learned so much more, and I keep increasing my skill. I think that's the other thing, is that people start coaching and then they stop. Like I was actually looking in 2021, a couple of copy things that I wanted to get into to just like keep expanding my own writing skills. So I say like hone in on that one thing you have, but don't wait too long to then build that following. If you want that audience and you want a bigger following.
Yeah. Alana, thank you so much for your question. And like, I'll just add on to it. It's just like when talking about just like the experience side, you really just have to start, doing it. And like maybe a mentor will help you get there, flush out some ideas of what you can do. But just really start building it. Start a Facebook group, reach out to a couple people who you can help and collaborate with and bring like their audience in to you. Cause that was just a huge marketing method for you in the copy chat, was just getting eyeballs from these other talented copywriters onto what you're doing as well. And then they became huge fans of yours.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I would say, like I am big in investing. Like, I've had mentors from day one, and I feel like my mentors. So like I was in Shrimp Club with Laura Belgrade, and my other was my business coach. And I owe so much to her. Her name's Meryl Kriegsman. And being with Meryl and being with Laura and having people to like hold me to what I said I was going to do or help me with those certain areas, I had the drive to do it. But to like, put the financial skin in the game to like have my mentors and also have someone that was holding me accountable, I know is why I went on to do season 2 of the Copy Chat, season 3 of the Copy, and keep it going and feel sustainable. So I always say like, find a community and a mentor to help you, get further faster.
Yeah. I think like if you put in your head, like I have little experience, that lack of experience is just going to always really be there in the back of your mind. But you just got to really do it to gain that experience, for sure. Yeah. But Alana, thanks again for your question. Now, Marisa, I want to get into some copywriting tips. This is really your bread and butter, the Copy Confidence Society, the Copy Chat, what you're talking about. And a big thing, what I love that you came up with, I hope you trademark this, the Uncopyable Message. With copy and uncopy. I love it. I thought it was so smart when I first saw that. But I'm just curious then, and maybe, this is probably a method you teach to a lot of people, but what is the first thing a brand can do to create their uncopyable message?
Ooh, this is a good question.
Don't spill all the beans,
Well, I think it's to look at your current copy, your current messaging.
Yeah.
Really, like everybody right now, if you go, okay, I'm going to use my website for this. I'm going to use a social post. I'm going to use whatever. Like just think of something that comes to you. And then honestly ask yourself when you look at it, your homepage, the social post, whatever it is, going, could somebody else copy and paste this into their, like another person in my niche? And would it like work for them? If so, then you're not uncopyable yet. You haven't gone deep enough into looking at it, into looking at like what makes you unique. And so I think that people will settle on even just like copy. People go, okay, well, I do copy, but it's like, okay, well, what do you really want to focus on? Is it launch copy? Is it emails? Is it websites? Or maybe it's the person that you want to. So I think you can be specific by person, by product, and by purpose. And obviously, if you could be specific in all 3 areas, awesome. Like I do launch copy for holistic health coaches, right? I'm making this up. But I think if you can at least get specific in one of the P's, you're going to start to get to that uncopyable message.
Yeah. So you said person, product, and purpose.
Person, product, and purpose.
And purpose, the 3 P's.
Yeah. Like think about the Ghostbusters. Yeah. Like they had like there was one like that's unique. Like, if you have like ghosts haunting you, these are the people to call. Like you weren't calling them for any, like I always like to use like the Ghostbusters as an example. Like they had this very specific offer for a very specific person.
Yeah. They would be king of the ghost of like SEO with ghost hunting for sure. Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters.
Right. Now, and that's it.
Yeah. Marisa, I want to put you on the spot here. What is your uncopyable message? It could be a good example for the people watching.
Yeah, totally. I think, and I'm actually like, it's so funny you asked me this because I'm in the process of a rebrand right now.
Nice.
So I'm in the process of really digging into this for myself. It's always like, oh God, like the coach needs a coach, like I'm working with this incredible one named Sarah Ashman and really doing a rebrand and looking, because I'm really starting to expand out into really helping people create and execute summits that like give a shit and are committed to paying it forward and funding change, so that your summit is, committed to partnering with a charity. And so I'm trying to really hone in on, and if there's any copywriters in here who have some things they want to throw at me, of how to really talk about that, because that's what I'm finding is that I'd love to talk about the copy stuff, and I'm actually putting together like a DIY experience for that for the first time in 2021. Cool. But what I find is that people want to amplify their audience, and they want to do it in a way that feels really connected and collaborative. And I think that that's what the copy chat and my clients who go through kind of my summit stuff are able to do.
Awesome. Very cool. Very, very cool to see kind of what you're up to for the next chapter, kind of reflipping the brand. That's awesome. Now, I know obviously when you're doing the copy chat virtual summits and you're helping your clients, a big part of that is coming up, I'm sure, with like this one big offer and writing a sales page for that. So last copy question, and we'll get to the few more questions here as we wrap up. What is your best then sales page headline copy tip?
Yeah. Oh, I love this. Okay. So I think a lot of times people are trying to be in their copy cave and like try to come up with the perfect headline.
Quick timeout. You are like the queen, the master of just like coming up with stuff with copy in it. Copy chat, copy cave.
I know. Maybe that's why I have Uncopyable Message.
I'm just happy you didn't take cool copy yet, because that's kind of what I'm, kind of shifting on. And
it's yours.
Yeah, cool.
It's yours. And I think a lot of times what we do as copywriters, or even, business owners trying to do like headlines, is we are trying to guess at what people would want to see there. And I think the absolute best headlines are your ideal clients have likely said it to you in a testimonial.
Yes.
Or you need to go out and actually have conversations with them and make what they say the headline, and not try to like zhuzh it up or like make it sound better. But when people are in the Copy Confidence Society, we talk about sales pages, and inevitably I always ask them, I'm like, I want to see a list of like recent testimonials that you have. And I just like sit down 7 to 10 minutes with like a cup of tea. And I just go through and I start to highlight all the things that people have said in testimonials that I'm like, this needs to be your headline. This needs to be what it is. So going and stop trying to guess and actually ask your clients and ask people. And I would also say I'm sorry, I've said shit a lot and I hope that's okay, but I'm going to say it again.
No
which
worries.
Is you got to write a bunch of shitty headlines. Like nobody's And the king of headlines himself, Justin Blackman, said this on the Copy Chat last season. Doing the headline project. I mean, he was just writing, he just let it be shitty until, so sometimes when I used to write for clients, I mean, I was writing 20, 25 headlines and like they were all shit except for like 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, I do that too still. And I like share majority of them with the client, but I just be real with them. I'm like, look, I throw these out there to see what you really don't like and what's in the right direction. And if one really sticks, then let me know that too. I mean, like, but it starts with like 15 to 30 and then I'll like really break it down into like maybe, 10 or less to share with them that I think they may like.
Yep. Yeah. Awesome. And I usually find that the best ones is something that someone said, not something that I created.
Yeah. That's the big thing. It's just like the research that goes into copywriting. Some people just think it's like, oh, it's all in your brain, right? You just go ahead and, here's a brief and let me see what you got. But it's just like the great copy lives in a lot of your ideal customers' heads. And like, it's already out there on the internet. So
yeah, I just always say I was really good at organizing what other people said. Nothing was really like my own. It was what other people said that I could go, oh, and I can make it like look really good on, virtual paper.
Yeah, no, awesome. Well, Marisa, thank you so much for that great headline tip and for sharing a lot of advice, a lot of insight into how you created, the Copy Chat Facebook group and the Copy Chat Summit. And I want to just wrap up with this question here. It's my favorite part of the interview. My favorite question to hear what people say to this. It's a two-parter though. So are you more a burrito or pizza person?
Pizza, 100%.
Pizza, 100%. I love hearing that.
I'm pizza like all day long. I love pizza.
All right.
I'm Italian.
Yeah, there you go. How's the Atlanta pizza scene?
Oh, okay. I found a place that is really good. It's called Junior's. If anyone is an Atlanta person, it's in Summerhill, and they have really amazing, amazing pizza. Because coming from New York City, where my husband and I lived for over 10 years, it was like hard at first. But Junior's is like the place to go if you find yourself in Atlanta. It's in Summerhill.
Oh, awesome. I dig that. So I asked you that question though, Marisa, because if you had to build a success pizza, what are the 3 key ingredients to your success pizza?
A success pizza?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's actually the formula. Maybe, I don't know if it's going to be ingredients, but it's what I actually like teach people and tell people, which is like the first ingredient, I guess, is like you have to Beetlejuice your brand. And that's the uncopyable message.
Yeah.
Like I know we don't have like a ton of time, but like when Michael Keaton played Beetlejuice, he basically created that character himself. Like Tim Burton gave him no ideas and he just showed up on set with like all of it. So it's like, how can you really bring all these elements of you and create an uncopyable message? That's the Beetlejuice your brand. And then the second ingredient you need is you have to create your own stage. If you really want to like amplify your audience, you can't just rely on referrals or hope that someone's going to mention you in a Facebook group. You got to go create that platform. And the third thing I would say is I call it like schmooze with sincerity. And how I think of that is like prioritizing connection and collaboration over everything in your business, but like without expectation. Like you messaging me back in the day to just say, hey, I love what you're doing with the copy chat.
Yeah.
And now here we are, like prioritizing being a human and like schmoozing like a real person over anything else.
Yeah. Not like 2 fire emojis and being like, hey, can you be my mentor? How did you do this? Just like going right in.
Yeah, like showing that you really care. I remember you saying like, hey, I love what you're doing. And it was like a real conversation. I think that people, but also like releasing expectation from that, like just prioritizing that. Because I've had things where it's paid off right away. And I've had things where years later. So I really try to help my clients to say, you can build your business basically just based on talking to people and being collaborative.
Yeah. Oh man, I love it. Dude, that's so good. Such a good success pizza. I love it. There you go. I love it. All right, Marisa. Well, that is all I got for you today. And everybody who's watching, and when you guys watch the replay, let us know, bring in your questions, and we'll help answer them. I'll let Marisa know. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And Marisa, thank you. Thank you so much for your time today. Really enjoyed talking to you. And before I let you go, let everybody know where they can find you on the internet and anything else that you'd like to promote coming up.
Well, I think the best place to find me on the internet is obviously the Copy Chat Facebook group. So come on over to the Copy Chat Facebook group. It is a really, really awesome environment. And the next season of the Copy Chat will be happening in February. So if you want to know more about that, being in the group, you'll get the updates on when we're tuning in, and we're partnering with a really awesome charity called Soul Fire Farm, which is bringing farmers markets and really, really like healthy access to foods to food deserts and low-income communities that have been just hit hard by the pandemic. And so all of our profits are going to them. So there's lots of cool things coming up in 2021. Yeah. Oh
man. Awesome. Well, again, Marisa, thank you so much. Everybody, again, thank you. This has been a live episode of Proceed with Passion, and love what you do and you proceed with passion too. And we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks. We're going, everybody.
Thanks, Terry.